Welcome to Let's Talk, a call-in show on Skeptic Haven channel. Let's Talk is a safe place for atheists, those questioning or leaving religion, and anyone that wants to ask questions and have respectful discussions. From the US, you can call us at 784-789-4787. And from outside the US, you can call in from your computer using the URL on the screen. Let's start the show.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.
Yay! Oh my gosh. I was not expecting that. So good. Oh, welcome, Neil. So good to be back with you here again.
Yeah, for sure. It's another BC takeover.
Uh-huh. We had so much fun the last time. We're like, we're doing this
Indeed.
again.
Indeed.
Yeah. That's great. Before we start, I just also wanted to say hi to everyone who's tuning in. Don't forget to like the video as well. And if you love what we do here, you can subscribe and also become a patron on Patreon. So yeah. Yay. So how have you been?
We were just talking about Nitty and he popped up in the chat.
I know. We were talking about you, Nitty. All good things. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Lego stuff is what it was.
Definitely. So tonight we are hoping to get lots of calls. And if you want to talk about religious experiences, I was asking Neil before the show began, do you have any religious experiences? And you said
I have one every time I eat my favorite ice cream.
There you go. Yeah.
Ooh, ice cream.
Yeah, but not so much for you.
No, growing up, raised as in the Jewish faith and whatnot, and my family wasn't like super religious, so we went to synagogue, and I think it was more for a fashion show and all the food.
Oh, a fashion show. Okay, so there's
everyone. I was like, "Oh, what are you wearing? Oh, what are you wearing?
Oh
whose latest fashion do you have?" Oh, yeah, it's like that for a lot of that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know. I wanted to believe, didn't really believe. I pray, I guess, or ask for things like for friends that were sick or something, and nothing ever happened. So it's like, this is bullshit.
So. Yeah. Well, I was saying how I have had many religious experiences. And that's, I think, what kind of keeps people in for a long time, because I know, like, listening to people who are theists talk about why they believe, they tend to chalk it up to a lot of it has to do with their experience, right? So that is kind of what made me think something was really there. Experiences like people claiming healings, but nothing that's really verifiable. It's usually like, oh, I was healed from a headache, but I mean, can you really? There's not a lot of proof for that, like headaches come and go.
She turned me into a newt.
Oh,
what? Well, I got better.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do remember having a religious experience when I was younger. And this one is still, I can't really explain what happened, but I do remember, and I mean, it was probably my imagination too, because I was 4 or 5, but I do remember having this like memory of seeing an angel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And my mom was getting my little brother ready to go out. Well, we were all getting ready to go out, and we lived at the bottom of a really long driveway and on a busy street. And I remember walking up to the top of the driveway and seeing this angel at the top, and he said, "You need to go wait with your mom because it's not safe." So I don't know. Maybe that was my common sense just telling me to get back down, and I just imagined. I don't know. So that's the only thing that it's not enough to keep me thinking that there's a God or anything, but also memories can be distorted, when you're a kid. So I'd say that's probably.
I saw an angel once, but it was also Halloween, so probably
So in costume, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed.
Mhm. But, yeah, so, um, I know that it's just yeah, like I was saying, a lot of people just they really stay in because of their experiences, and it's hard to really get people to question when they have such a strong
Also,
connection.
when they describe these experiences to their fellow believers, and their believers just reinforce that with, oh, I had something similar, or oh, this,
Mhm.
or oh, that, right? They help reinforce that belief in that it was something supernatural, rather than just something that might have been in your mind,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
more than likely was in your mind.
Mhm. Mhm. A lot of oh, I thought I heard myself again. Um, a lot of these things too, you can maybe have really weird experiences when you're maybe under the influence of something as well. So,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that people at church were necessarily doing that, but your brain can just do a lot of really wacky things. So,
Well, you got to remember too, in situations like that, when you're in a sea of people that are having all these, experiences,
mhm,
the same chemicals are going through your brain that might also be triggered when you take some sort of illicit kind of
right.
drug or something. So those same chemicals can play the same antics in your mind that something like a drug could do as well. So
Yeah, exactly. Like
the right
endorphins and
chemicals. Yeah, you
yeah,
betcha.
yeah. And then you get that kind of like mass hysteria and
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
just in there together and you're just like, wow, we're all experiencing this. So it kind of confirms what you think you're feeling. So
certainly.
yeah, definitely. So um I was asking you too if you had any crazy stories that you could remember. What? Do you see a comment you want to highlight?
No, no, I was
Oh,
just
okay.
thinking I was just thinking about, I watched this, I can't remember where the hell I saw it. It was a documentary on how the brain works and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they had people with these little things on their heads, and, they had these devices, I guess they were using, that were some sort of magnetic resonance type stuff, whatnot. And, they were triggering parts of people's brains that made them see things.
Oh.
Right, so they were, and as well as they were able to do all kinds of weird shit, like shut off their speech
Oh my
centers,
gosh.
and yeah, so they'd be like, "Right now, I want you to start saying the alphabet," and they got A, B, C, blah, 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 then they pull it away, and he
Interesting.
goes right back into it. So yeah, your brains can be fucked with real easy,
Oh,
and,
totally.
it just shows how easily these kinds of things can happen,
Mhm.
especially when you're surrounded by people that the same things are happening, so you think it's something normal, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've also talked about how when you're in certain churches or denominations that really rely heavily on experiences, they'll kind of prime you ahead of time.
Mm.
They'll tell you, because I remember being in church and they'll say, come expecting for the Lord to show up.
Mhm.
So you're kind of like, "Oh god, I really need this prayer answered," or "I really need to, like, have you just, show yourself to me in some way that I know that you're there." So you're already kinda, like, prepping your mind and yourself ahead of time before you even get there, and so
Mhm.
when you're in those services and all the the music and the just they're emotional, you've already
Mhm.
been preparing your brain to expect something, and at that point, you can almost interpret anything to be like a sign from God or whatnot. So, yep,
Or
I'm
like when
speaking
I thought I saw Eddie at an Iron Maiden concert, right?
Eddie Dean?
No, Eddie, the
I'm
Ed
like Eddie in our chatter, okay.
Eddie
Or
from Iron Maiden, their character.
oh, okay, sorry, I don't know those. But, okay, yep, exactly. Yeah, so Um, yeah, so have you had any really outrageous experiences that people have told you on your show? Because 'Cause you've heard so many deconversion stories.
Oh, yeah, lots and lots. And people have mentioned having experiences. Usually there's something like, they were in a place of despair, and they thought they heard the word of God in their heads,
Mm,
giving them advice on stuff like that. Those kind of things happen, to some people from time to time. So hear a few stories like that, or that something they didn't think was possible to be resolved ended up being resolved, and they thought that it was some sort of God stuck his finger in there or whatever and helped out, kind of thing, right? So,
Right.
and there's probably tons of stories like that out there. Just,
Oh, yeah.
mostly what I find people that just want to share their story of how they found their way out of it. So sometimes those stories come in, and sometimes not so much,
Okay. Oh, okay, that's
right?
true. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Yeah. Um, I guess with like talking to people too, like we also have in the title about like epistemology and
Hmm.
just yeah. So an easy way of maybe talking to people is just breaking down why they believe what they believe. And I was listening to some videos today from Anthony Magnabosco and what do you it's all good.
It sounds like there's a fucking kaiju out my window.
Oh, I'm like, I hope everything's okay. Um, yeah, and so it's just I really like that approach that, you know, Anthony Magnabosco has, and just getting people to really think about what they believe and why, and
Hmm.
um, yeah,
And he does
so
a very good job at it too. So,
mhm, he really does,
hell of a
and
nice guy too.
oh, so nice. I've talked to him once, and he's so kind.
First time I met him, he's like, "I'm taking you for lunch." I'm like, "I'm not going to argue." So,
Aw.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
So
so
got to sit
nice.
with him and another friend of mine, Thomas Bear, and
I know that. Thomas?
yeah, he's off the chain atheist guy,
Oh, okay.
and his name's escaped me. It'll come to me.
Okay.
He's a psychologist who compares God to like being an alpha gorilla kind of thing, right? So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like he's the big alpha male kind of thing that everyone falls in line to, or some shit like that. Anyways, God, his name's like right on
Interesting.
the tip of my
Oh my
tongue,
gosh, I hate that.
and it's like it won't come out.
Oh, okay.
It'll come to me eventually.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Mikey.
Oh, Mikey. Hi, Mikey. Yeah, I just wanted to say hi to everyone in the chat. We have lots of people here. We have Bree and Candid Candace, James, Michael Bell, Eddie Dean, um, and now Mikey and whoever else is here. Thanks so much for being here. And yeah, if you don't have to necessarily call about religious experiences, it just kind of is a topic if that's something you wanted to discuss. But we are open to taking calls about pretty much almost
Eddie
anything.
said that he was
Yeah.
about a miracle that he was a part of,
Yeah.
which sounds kind of interesting because if you think about
Call
what the
us.
definition of a miracle is, it's something impossible that happens. So
Mhm.
we've yet to actually witness or determine that something is impossible if it happens. Because if it happens, it is
Not
not impossible.
impossible. Yeah. Well, there you go. I think we just debunked miracles right here.
Well, people can look at something as being miraculous, considering
Mhm.
something may have happened they didn't expect to
Yeah.
bring something to a fruition of some sort, right? So,
Mhm.
um, Eddie says that usually people are hand wave and dismiss it. Well, some people might do that,
Yeah.
but if you think that there's any substance to it, then
Give us a call.
yeah,
Yep.
maybe we can figure out what actually happened.
Yes. Maybe we could. Yeah.
It's not
So,
that we're hand waving your experience, Eddie. It's just
mm-mm.
if something does happen, then it's not really a miracle because something happened to make it happen. So let's try and figure out
Mhm.
what that may have been.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, so I think we actually have a call that's in the screening room right now. So we will wait for
Oh,
that, which would be awesome. And then we can talk. But yeah, we had so much fun last time with the BC takeover. We're like, we need to do this
yeah,
again. So
yeah.
we are back.
I think last time I had a little too many mochas. So
Too many mochas.
yeah. I was all hyped up on mocha coffee.
Caffeine. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's like, woo, bouncing off the walls like a ricochet rabbit over here.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, it's my birthday this week, so I had my friend took me out last night, so we had a nice girls' night.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a fun couple of weeks. So, yeah, it's been fun. So, what is?
Mikey.
Hey. Oh, Mikey.
It's not my old partner. He's still my partner.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the show's on hiatus because
That's
of my
right.
mom dealing with the cancer, and
Yeah.
I have to be ready to go at the drop of a hat, sort of thing. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Thank you for this comment from Alex. I've been on shows with Neil and know Stacy by reputation. They won't laugh at your or outright dismiss it. They may not believe your assessment, but that's not mockery. So that's a nice, yeah, we're definitely just wanting to talk. So
Tons of Mice, The Miracle of Eyeball Removal by Neil Six of Atheist. Yeah, it's like a story I should never have told because now it's always being brought up.
I don't think I know that one.
When I was a doorman at a club, the drunk fisherman tried to hit me with a bat that had a big hook on it. And he was so drunk that I pretty much was able to disarm him by popping my thumb into his eye. And
oh my gosh. What?
Yep, eyeball pops out. Hangs on by the optic nerve. Yeah.
Whoa.
And then put it in a little cup of warm water and send him off with the ambulance, who, lucky for him, happened to be in the parking lot right there at the Overweighty or Save on Foods, picking up some stuff. And they asked me what happened, and I said, "Oh yeah, well, you're within your rights to defend yourself, but we've never seen this before." So, a little trick I learned. Yeah.
A little trick you learned. Okay.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Did martial arts as a kid, and as a later later teen too, as well, right? And learned a couple of things.
Oh wow. Yeah. Mikey,
don't come at me with a bat. That's your lesson.
Yeah, or you will literally lose an eye.
Well, no, they're able to put it back in, but you're going to be bruised up for a while.
I don't want to think about that. I'm pretty squeamish. Okay. We're getting lots of questions in the chat. Feel free to call and we'll answer them on the phone too. But all right. We have this question, and then
Mikey's got a good question though, and I kind of have sort of an answer for that.
Answer this
a
one.
Benevolent God could not be just. You can't be just and benevolent at the same time.
There you go. Yeah. Good answer. Okay, so we do have a call, and I'm going to so we have James. He's calling from Indiana, and he's struggling to talk to his sister about religious topics, wants to encourage Eddie Dean to call in as well. And he's an atheist. So I'm going
That's how I identify as well.
Okay. So I think this is what we do. Hi, James. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, perfect. Hi. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Hi, James.
Hey, how are you both doing tonight?
Really good. How are you?
Well, I'm with you on the atheist part.
Fair. So I have a sister who's very religious, Christian fundamentalist.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while we have these discussions, and it's usually my idea. And I've been struggling not just with how to have a difficult conversation with her, because she's not looking to deconvert. She's not questioning her religion at all. But also I have to wonder if I'm being honest with myself about why I want to have this discussion with her, why I feel a need to help her understand that she's been lied to, because she's happy where she's at. And it's just difficult for me because I have these, when other people come to me with this, it's easy for me to tell them why they should care and help them figure out how to navigate those discussions. And when it's my own sister and me, man, it gets a lot more difficult.
Sure. It always is with family. and
Right.
even close friends.
So
I think you got to ask yourself if are you trying to deconvert her, and do you think that maybe at this point in time is that the right thing to do?
right. So I don't know. So she's been going through a lot of stuff, and I think it's hurting her. So she has this
Okay.
daughter, just turned 18, and the daughter had a youth pastor who's in his 30s. Well, apparently the youth pastor was kind of grooming her the whole time. So now she
Mm.
turns 18, and all of a sudden he's telling her, "Oh, I got a message from God, and He wants us to be together,"
Oh God.
and all that stuff. And so the daughter, next thing you know, packs up, moves in with him.
Wow.
And
What?
it's frustrating for me because my sister came to me saying, "What do I do about this? Why this happen? How did it happen? What can I do about it?" And I didn't tell her the real reason because I know what happened. She grew up
Mhm.
in this religious setting where she was
Mhm.
told to have deference to male authority figures, and where she was told that sometimes God communicates through other people and that she shouldn't want to negate their testimony. And so she's got all these sort of like mental strings that have been installed by other people that this guy was able to easily pull on and get her to do what he wants her to do. So already it's being consequential for my sister and her family. But the damage is done. It already happened. She's already living with that guy now.
Oh my God.
And it's just so
Oh boy.
frustrating for me because I feel like my sister doesn't properly respect me, doesn't properly understand her place in the world. Now she's got a bunch of kids, like 8 kids or something. Statistically speaking, eventually one or more of those children are going to deconvert or go to a different religion or end up being LGBT or something.
Mhm.
And I've
Mhm.
told her this. I'm like, what are you gonna do when that happens? You can't wait until afterwards and then try to figure out how to do damage control, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to
Exactly.
decide now. And she just can't wrap her head around that. So I keep asking myself, am I being honest with myself about why I want to have these conversations with her? Because, man, I got like 101 justifiable reasons, but should I be? And I just don't know.
I think the example you just gave us of the 18-year-old girl
Yeah.
moving in with this 30-something pastor, which in my
Oh,
eyes is bad news.
yeah.
Um,
Sure.
I think that in and of itself is a big enough reason to talk to her about this sort of thing, because that's what these beliefs can lead to. They don't
Mhm.
always obviously go that way, but they can lead to abuse of this type.
Mhm.
And
Right.
you know, you've probably heard this expression before, but our beliefs inform our actions, and our actions have consequences. And I'd hate for the daughter to
Yeah.
find out the kind of consequences that could come from this. I think she should be out of there as soon as possible, personally.
Yeah.
But of course, it's not my family, and I don't really have much of a say in it. All I can do is maybe give you an idea of possibly how to approach your sister with this problem. Because ask her, if you put all the religious stuff aside, do you think something like this is appropriate?
Right.
No.
No. So my sister agrees it's not okay. She's really
Okay,
upset.
that's good.
I did.
That's a good starting point. At least she
Well,
knows.
the mental connection between what happened and how it happened.
Mhm. Hmm.
And I don't know if I
Yeah,
should keep
well,
pushing it or if I just let it go. I don't know what I should do.
it's a
Yeah.
tough one.
Because
Um,
is the pastor like does your sister attend the same church that he's at? Does
Yeah.
she?
So
Yeah.
she's
Okay.
not under him anymore in terms of being a young person under a youth pastor anymore because now she's an adult, but now she just lives with him. So she's still
No,
under him as
but
a
that's
male
weird. They live
authority.
together. That's really
yeah,
unusual for.
Yeah, she just packed up and moved right in with him because he
I'm
said that's what
surprised that
God
he
wants.
can even keep his job, to be honest, without being married. Not that I'm saying they need to get married, but I'm just actually shocked that the church would allow that to even take place for her to just move in.
If I understand correctly, he stopped after that. He stopped really attending church. He's looking for a different church now. So I think he knows that the
oh
Right.
boy,
Oh
he
my
just wants
gosh.
to do.
Yeah. Yeah, red
red flag,
flag. Red
red flag.
flag.
Right.
Yeah,
That speaks volumes to me. That means that he has nefarious intent,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't want the community he's used to knowing about that.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure by now many of them already know that she has moved in with him. And I would say maybe you should have a meeting with some of the folks from that community and get together and make a decision on whether or not you guys want to intervene on this. Because the more of you that are against this, then it's going to, I'm not saying it's going to work, but it could at least plant a seed in the daughter's mind that what's happening here may not be, morally good, we'll say.
So maybe even the fact that he's no longer at a church, your sister, she might feel like, who does she have to go to? Because who is his authority above him? Possibly. If he has removed himself from um, just church ministry, then he doesn't have anyone to be held accountable to. And he knows that as well. So that makes
Right.
it even more predatory, which the whole thing is. Yeah, that's
Do you think I should be direct and blunt with my sister to say, "Hey, this is the way that your church gonna set you guys up for this without you
oh,
realizing it"?
definitely. Yeah.
Not necessarily the
Well,
church, but definitely the pastor.
yeah, and just the whole see, I was always afraid of someone telling me, "Oh, God said that we were gonna like you're my wife," because I really believe in God speaking to people, and I was scared. What if the person that God tells, I don't want to marry them, but because He tells them, I have to do this because that's how it's kind of set up when you believe that God
Yeah,
speaks to people,
Mhm.
and
right.
it's quite scary. And especially if she's much younger, she's impressionable. That's just how she's been raised. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it's the whole thing, and sadly, even though your sister probably had like no bad intentions, thinking she's doing the right thing, raising her kids in a Christian home, because when I was a parent, like I am a parent, but when I was raising my kids, I thought I was doing the right thing. But unfortunately, this is definitely not a good situation.
No.
And I don't think she needs to feel like shamed but also this is something that needs to be addressed. And
And it can be hard to
yeah,
do that too when
yeah,
you're already preened to believe anything they tell you without
hmm
question. It can be tough to break through that wall.
yeah, absolutely.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I appreciate your feedback on that. Yeah, that's probably the best
I
way to
definitely,
go. Who else can get
James,
involved
I
that might have an influence over this guy or her daughter.
I definitely think there should be some discussion on this, and I think you should get a few people together to talk about this and maybe expose this guy and at least be reported to the church for what he's done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
definitely.
So moving forward from there, like I used to be in that way, right? Like I was, hey there, Carrie Ann Chrysler. Well, I used to be where she's at in terms of what I believe and how I raised my kids.
Mhm.
Um, it's heavy for me because my son came out to me
Yeah.
as gay when he was 12,
Mm.
but I hadn't deconverted yet
Oh my
as
gosh,
to my
that
Oh
must have
boy.
been
relationship,
hard.
not the response that he needed and deserved.
Yeah.
And it created a
Right.
terrible wedge between us in our relationship.
Aw.
And moving forward, decades later, man, it's still so heavy for me to carry. And
I'm sorry, dude.
want to see
Yeah.
that.
Have you at least now that you're a non-believer, have you at least been able to mend that relationship to some degree? Is it better now?
Oh yeah, yeah. We have. I apologized and I explained where I was at and why I was in that frame and that it was wrong. And here's what he deserved from me and didn't get.
Aw.
And
Mm,
I'm really sorry for that. And we're
that's
talking now.
good.
We're okay. Um,
That's good. That's good.
but yeah, man, it's just it seems like it's heavier for me to carry now than it is for him.
Yeah.
I just man, it's been hard to forgive myself for that. And
I
when I
think,
when I see my sister making the same mistakes, I'm like,
right,
"Ah, how could I not say something?" Right? So
James. I think you're clearly carrying this, and I don't really. I think you've had the talk with him about coming out as gay now. Now that you're a secular human being, and you've had the talk and you've apologized, I think you can probably maybe have one more chat with them saying, have you completely forgiven me for this, because I was not who I am now when we spoke about this last. And I think you could probably let go of it, I think, after this much time. I don't think that you need to carry that, because it's obviously doing you some damage, right? So
Yeah.
so
I
big
understand.
virtual hug for you.
Yeah, I understand, because I have someone who's really special and important in my life, a family member, and when they were going through their transitioning, we unfortunately weren't really in communication then, and our relationship now is a lot better. But I have that regret and remorse of just not being there for them, and it makes me sad that that I wasn't. But they understand, and we have such a great relationship again now. Um, it's hard to just, think back to how you once were, but you're not that person anymore. So,
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been hard to process and put it all in perspective. But
Hmm.
I mean, I run with a lot of atheists. They're on YouTube. I know a lot of the
Mhm.
people that are even there in chat. And,
Mhm.
but I try to be balanced about it, right? So, like, I don't necessarily care if my sister stops believing in a God. It doesn't
Mhm.
bother me at all. Deists don't
Right.
bother me. Progressive Christians don't bother me. As long as they're not saying and doing anything that's going to set themselves or innocent people up for some kind of terrible hardship,
Like
some
that
kind of
pastor.
judgment. I don't care what people believe, really.
Yeah.
There was even a guy in chat earlier, I think Eddie was his name, he was talking about he's had some miracle
Mhm.
experiences.
Mhm.
When somebody comes to me and they're religious and they say they've had some kind of experience, they don't get the Aaron Ra or the Matt Dillahunty speech from me. I say, okay, I believe you've had an experience that was transformative or monumental for you. And I'm not going to tell you what that experience is from. I'm not going to tell you what it's supposed to be worth to you, right? That's your lived experience. It is whatever it is for you. But at the same time, if a Christian comes to me with that stuff, I'm like, look, if you want me to give you the respect to dignify your experience for what it is, then you need to start doing that for other people too. If a Muslim or a
Yes, exactly.
Hindu or a JW or a Catholic, if they're going to come to you and say, I've had some kind of experience that's been transformative and powerful for me, and you're going to look at them and say, oh, well, that was the devil or that was your imagination, then you don't have more respect than that coming from anybody else either. You have to decide,
Mhm.
because I have to make sure that I meet you equitably before I meet myself, before I
Exactly.
meet the people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
100% agree
with
there.
that being the case, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aw.
and 9 times
So
out
yeah,
of
I
10,
don't have an opinion about. I don't really feel I need to deconvert my sister from theism or from spirituality. In fact, when I think about Native American spiritual narratives, right, I see beauty and power in that. I don't necessarily think it's technically true, but when
Yeah.
I think of this idea of a spiritual narrative that says everything and everyone is sacred, and that we should try to
yeah,
live in harmony as one with the entire world and take care of it as its stewards, man, I
I
have a hard
agree.
time.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
I agree, but it's
that's what I'm
natural
at about
based.
it. Doesn't have to
There's no
change.
real. Sure, there's some supernaturally type mythology attached to some of that stuff, but it is very naturally based. So
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think
I'm
there's a
behind
natural
that.
explanation for everything. I think some things that people report have happened. I don't think it's all imaginary. It's just that I think that the things that really have happened have a physical explanation, and we just don't know what
Correct.
it is.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to call up after me and talk about their miracle experience, I think that they'll find more support here than they would have otherwise thought that they would find. I don't think anybody's going to
Possibly.
go Matt Dillahunty on them on this show.
I think they definitely have their techniques that they use, because when you've done it as long as they have,
Mhm.
they tend to get the same old questions over and over and over again, and the same old denials over and over again. So I can see how that
Sure.
could bear down.
Well,
Be
I haven't
exhausting.
been doing it as long.
he's got a niche. He serves a
Yep,
purpose. There is a need for what he does, right?
I think so.
But
Yeah.
you got to read the room, and there's some rooms and some shows where you probably don't want to be the guy that calls in talking about certain things, and there are other rooms, other shows, and other times where it would be safe and fitting to call in and talk about that kind of stuff. So it just
Mhm.
depends.
Sure.
I don't know how you guys feel about that stuff, but the vibe I've always gotten from Skeptic Haven is that you guys are very casual, very down to earth, very let's have the conversation. You're not looking for an opportunity to drop F-bombs and hang up on people unless they're being off.
A lot of that is, believe it or
So,
not, a lot of that is kind of a caricature of him as well, too. Because like Greg in the chat,
I was
Greg
just
Royce
gonna.
said, I love Matt. I hang out with him in person. He's so chill, mellow. And yeah, he is. I've been to his house. I've hung out with him. We've sung a song together. We've done all kinds of stuff. Well, Matt is a great guy outside of the kind of persona that he is on his shows. He's very chill. He's very
that
awesome.
makes sense too. Yeah, I've never met him in person, never hung out with him, so I can't speak to that. I just know that some people get really afraid to call into skeptic or atheist shows because they think, I'm going to get swore at. They're going to hang up on me.
No, sir. No, sir.
I'll only swear at you if you deserve it.
There you go.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening and giving me some feedback on this and giving me a lot to think about.
Pleasure, James.
Thanks for calling. Yeah.
Fellow atheist.
Take care. Bye.
Peace.
Thanks.
I was thinking back to what?
I was just going to say before you get into the thinking back to part, that's to me that's horrifying. I think that pastor should be locked up because he's obviously
100%.
a predator and he's using God to be a predator.
Yeah.
So I think if God is real, he would be actually putting a stop to that. But of course, he doesn't stop kids from being molested by priests. So
no, exactly. What I was going to say is I was thinking back to the story that I heard at church when I was, or about a family at a church that we attended when I was about 5. And I think this is why it always scared me about someone saying, God told me that you're supposed to be my wife, is because there was a guy who was like in his 20s and he said he was praying and God told him who his wife was. So he went to the parents of this little girl who was like 5 at the time.
What?
And yeah, this is not a made up story at all. And told the parents, I know this is going to sound crazy, but God told me that so-and-so is going to be my wife. And so he waited until she got to be 18 and she grew up knowing that she was supposed to marry this guy. And basically it was just like over her life forever. And then they ended up getting married. And it happened here in the town that we live in. And my mom actually ran into someone from that church just a couple of years ago and inquired about that, whatever happened to them. And they got married and had kids, but it grossed me out, obviously, when I heard it. And it really did freak me out. The whole God said, you're supposed to be my wife. And because of stories like that. So
somebody showed up at my door telling me that they were supposed to be married to my daughter and he was in his 20s and she was 5. He'd be at the hospital getting my fucking boot removed from his ass. Is what he'd do.
Yeah. So, okay, we have another call and this time it is John, him from Canada. And he wants to know, if God stood in front of you, would you still not believe in him or would you worship him? So, John.
Oh, I got an answer for this.
Welcome to Let's Talk. Are you there?
Hello, Neil, the atheist.
Hi.
Hello. How you doing, John?
Yeah, so as the question said, if a God did stand right in front of you, would you worship him, do it and obey his orders, or would you ignore them?
Are we referring to the Abrahamic God? What, I didn't catch that. Was it yes?
Hello?
Yes,
Okay.
I said yes to your question.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm talking about the Abrahamic. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I grew up with the Old Testament, and a lot of it is pretty horrific. And if this particular deity was to stand in front of me telling me that they were God, well, first of all, I'd say, well, okay, well, prove that you're God. Like, give me your powers for one day, and I'll do everything you're supposed to do and fix this world, because you seem not to be able to. And if that's the case, then I'll believe that you're God. Will I worship that God? Not a fucking chance. And I'm sorry for the harsh language, but that's how much I feel about that.
Yeah.
And how do you feel, Stacy?
Oh, I was gonna say, I've actually thought about this a lot over the last couple of years because now I realize I do have a choice in what I want to do, as far as worshiping or believing or all that. And if God did show up in front of me, the Abrahamic God, the one that I once believed in, um, no, I would not worship him. Um, I wouldn't. I would,
Yeah, I can't
yeah.
stand by and worship a deity that will not spare thousands and thousands of children from being molested, or
Mhm.
even worse, from people that presume to speak for him.
Yeah.
But what if the God were to explain to you that he had a good reason for that?
What's a good reason to let a child be molested? Give me one.
Yeah.
Well, I can't think of one.
Oh,
Because there's
exactly.
none. There's no good
There isn't a
reason.
reason. That's why I could never worship a being like that. I just can't, John. I'm not trying to be offensive, but I just can't. Or am I? I'm just can't worship a deity that would be like that couldn't do something like that.
No.
Yeah.
What if it was under the penalty of hell?
Well, you see, another problem. I don't believe in hell. I don't see
Mhm.
how it's possible.
Well, but let's assume that hell was a real place, and the threat of going there is worship this God, or you end up down there. Would that change your mind? I just want to know.
I don't think it would change my mind. Honestly, I'll suck it up and see. I'm of the belief that in order to feel pain, you require nerve endings, and if it's just your soul that's down there, your soul doesn't have any nerve endings, so you're not going to feel any pain anyways. Not only that, there's probably lots of scientists down there that don't believe in God, and I'm sure they've come up with a way to build some air conditioning, so we're good.
There you go. Also, I think if God is what he is described in the Bible to be all-knowing and everything, I think he would know the only reason I'm believing in him is so that I don't go to hell if I did choose to
Right.
believe. So that's not even really a belief. That's just kind of saying, okay, sure, I'll worship you, but I'm doing it under protest. So again, that's you go right back to thinking of how this is such an abusive relationship when you throw in the threat of
Mhm.
something. Like I would never say to my husband, like, you better love me or I'm going to like
Lock you in the
hurt
basement
you
and
or
light it
yeah,
on fire.
exactly. That's not love. And I wouldn't
No.
even want someone to be with me with those types of conditions. So it's
Yeah, it's
this
tough,
is
right?
Pascal's wager. So it's like
Also, you got to remember, beliefs aren't really a choice. Beliefs,
mhm,
you're either convinced of something or you're not, and I'm just not convinced.
yeah.
And I've yet to be convinced by so-called evidences that have been brought forth to me. So,
Mhm. And if hell is the main thing to get people to believe or to stay in something, that's pretty sick. And that is the main reason why I was so scared to question things in the first place was because I did believe in hell. And once I
yeah.
realized, wait, there's no proof for this. No one has died and come back and said, "Oh yeah, it's terrible. You don't want to go," or whatever. But having that threat over your life is just that's the whole reason I think hell was invented is just to keep people enslaved by fear. So again, the whole system is just really fucked up.
Like Dean Kruger's little comment. Sounds like a protection racket. Nice soul you have there. Be a pity if something happened to it.
Yeah.
Written by Dean Kruger. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're being honest with me. Well, thank you
Mhm.
for speaking with me. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Sean.
Oh,
You
yeah,
too.
no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel
The
like
whole
that's
concept.
the one thing they just go back on is hell. What were you gonna say?
A lot of people, and I've seen many people, that would have debates with believers and stuff like that. And believers end up getting so frustrated because we're giving rational type answers to their irrational questions.
Mhm.
And it always ends up becoming, well, you're just going to burn in hell. Well, do you have anything better than that? Because that doesn't really scare me.
Yeah.
So you were talking about an afterlife, and I don't even think there is an afterlife. Actually,
Mhm.
according to physics, it's not possible. So I don't know
Right.
how you can really threaten me with this afterlife of burning in hell. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
like Freddy
Exactly.
Krueger's going to fucking attack me in my sleep too. Like, come on, get real.
Yeah. Exactly. Um so I just wanted to remind everyone to hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell so notifications are on, because we also have a lot of other shows on Skeptic Haven. Don't forget that on Thursday nights, we have the Sunny Spot with Sunny Shell. Saturdays, we have the Global Atheists and Women Atheists Unload with lots of great hosts. Um, Sundays, we have Let's Talk, which is right now what we're doing. And then on
That's this thing.
this is it. And then on Tuesdays, we have Secular Soapbox, which I host with my good friend David McDonald. So make sure that you hit that bell, because then you'll be notified when we go live.
Yes,
Hmm.
indeed. And support the show. Join the Patreon.
Yes, please.
And
That's
a
so
little toot for myself, if you want to share your deconversion story, you can email me at 604atheist@gmail.com.
Yes. You have such good guests on your show, and so
They're
fun.
fun. They're a lot of fun. I try to, a lot of the stories that we get on the show can be pretty hardcore and kind of a downer. So I always try to
Mm,
make it a little bit more light,
yeah.
right? Sometimes that's not always possible because we just have to cry along with the people that we're interviewing,
Hmm.
because some shit you just don't want to lighten. It is what it is, and it needs to be discussed as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly. No, I
um,
think you guys do a good job of keeping it like serious when it needs to be, but then having a bit of like humor, which you need. And
yes, in a lot of
yeah,
cases.
you
And then the
really
after
do.
party is where we can just let loose and have a lot of fun.
Oh, yes. I love the after party. That's
And Stephanie Helms just showed up. Hi,
Hi,
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Hi.
Stephanie's one of my favoriteest humans ever.
Aw, yeah, Stephanie's great. So here is the link in the
Thank you,
chat
Carrie.
for Neil's show. Make sure you go over there and subscribe. Oh, I keep hitting the Oh, and Stephanie shared it too. So thank you.
We should be back sometime in March. As I mentioned
Okay.
earlier, if you just popped into the chat, my mom has been dealing with some colon cancer stuff. It's not the first time; it's the second time around. Luckily, she didn't go septic, and they didn't have to have her all tubed up and stuff. So she's on the mend, but she's going to be there for a while because she also suffers from diabetes and also lots of pain in her body and stuff like that. She's 79, so it's kind of odd that she's getting all of this at once at that kind of, to me, still a young age. Um,
Mhm.
but I try to be there every day for her when I can be. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've kind of put the show on a bit of a hiatus until I know I'm going to be a little bit more more free. No, thanks. I'm second to Mikey. That's okay with
Mikey's
me
pretty
because
great
Mikey's a hell of a human
too.
being too. Yeah.
Yeah, we love Mikey. Yeah. There's a lot of really great people in this community. Um, and I love popping on to live shows and being active in the chat and just seeing so many familiar faces and names, and yeah, it's great.
Since Tons of Mice is in the chat right now, since
Uh-huh.
Tons of Mice, another one of my favorite people, he's just hysterical. He's agreed to come on and share his story. And Tons, if it's okay with you, when we decide to go back into the show, it's probably maybe second week of March or so, maybe third week. If you'd like to be the first one back, that would be kind of fun,
Oh,
I think.
oh, that's amazing.
We'll talk,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. Um, Greg said, I don't know these people, should I? And the answer is yes. Yes, you should.
I'm a nobody, Greg. I just have a big mouth and I like to talk about this sort of stuff all the
He's
time.
not a nobody. Nobody listen to that. That is not
Michael
true.
keeps forgetting how we met. He just said every time I see him in the chat, I forgot how we met. You were on my show, Michael. I approached you and said you wanted to share your story, and you were on my show. That's how we met. But
Oh, like, is he wondering how he got in touch with you to be on your show? That's probably
I probably just popped into the chat
yeah,
one day,
yeah.
doing the old scroll through the atheist content on YouTube and see what pops up. And of course,
Oops.
now I'm getting a lot more repetition, I guess, in the suggestions or whatever the hell they're called.
Oh, okay.
So more and more people find me. So that's cool
That's
because
awesome.
I think these stories need to be told and they need to be
Mhm.
shared. And there's lots of people out there that are, deconstructing, and I think these stories can help those people. So I keep on doing them. You
Yeah.
keep bringing them to me, I will keep on doing them.
It's crazy because, I mean, I'm still, like, just over 2 years out, but then I'll get messages from people who they just started their deconversion or deconstruction journey, like, 6 months ago, and it's
Mhm.
like, "Oh my gosh, there's people right now who are just beginning and are just gonna come across, shows like this, and their mind's gonna be blown because they're gonna be like, "I had no idea this existed," because I remember how it felt when that happened to me. So, we are going to have a
To
lot
answer
of
Greg's question, I don't really do the debates on formats like Facebook or Twitter. I just laugh at people. It's pointless to me. You want to talk to me? That's different. You get on here and you can chat with me
yeah.
and have a discussion rather than a debate. Although a lot of times they will turn into a sort of debate, but I don't really do the structured debate thing. I think it's kind of a talk to me about what you believe, and I'll talk to you about what I think about that and whether or not we can come to some sort of an agreement on
Yeah,
a few things at least, right? That's about it.
exactly. So we have another caller. We have Eddie
Excellent.
from North Dakota on the line.
Oh,
So,
all
he
right.
wants to share his miracle experience. So,
Excellent.
yeah. Hi, Eddie. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, good.
Hi, Eddie.
Let's
Hey.
hear it.
All right. Well, I'm an atheist, but I grew up as a, I guess, Pentecostal Christian,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
we did a bunch of mission trips down to Mexico, and there's a miracle that I can't seem to get out of my mind. It just because
Okay.
it was so real, right? So we were praying for this blind baby, a baby that was diagnosed completely blind, and so we prayed for it and all that. A couple days later, they return and they have doctor verification that the baby is no longer blind. It can see perfectly.
Okay.
Its eyes are healed or whatever. And like when I've shared this story with other atheists, they've always been like, just hand wave, dismiss it. Just that's something developed in the baby's eyes, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so how do I reconcile that? Like,
Let me
so there
ask you
are
something.
things that are unexplained in this world, right? There are things unexplained that
Certainly.
happen, right?
Certainly.
So,
And
like, how do you explain this then?
well, I'm not a doctor. I'm a chemist.
Mhm.
What I there, it's very possible, and I don't think that when people say maybe something happened physiologically or biologically within the baby that altered the state of blindness to actually being able to see. How old is this child now? Do you know?
Well, this happened when I was 15, so
Okay.
20 years ago.
Mhm.
Okay, so the child's an adult now. Have you ever had any
Mhm.
contact with anyone else that was there and can verify that they're like 100% sight, or is there some sort of partial blindness? Because I know a guy who was born blind, but it cleared up. But then later in life, all of a sudden, this black stuff would start to appear in the middle of his eyes, and that eventually grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And now he's blind again. So,
Mhm.
is it possible that maybe something like that has happened? Like, I'm not trying to hand wave anything. I'm just trying to come up with a possible solution as to why that happened.
Yeah, I can definitely see all that, but it's just the fact that the baby was prayed for, You know what I mean? It's like it was
Sure.
so real at the time. I can
Mhm.
come up with my own reasons as to why it wasn't a God delivered miracle, but it still
Okay.
chills there in the back of my mind when I think about
Absolutely.
Christianity, its validity.
Gave me
It's like I
goosebumps.
experienced something, you know what I mean, that
Sure.
I can't
Yeah.
explain, and nor has it been explained to me, so
I wonder if say that there wasn't any prayer that happened, was the baby going for a routine checkup? Were they going to do that test? Would they have found those results with or without the prayer? Um, those are just the kind of questions that come to my mind.
Yep. Also, something that ran through my mind is something that it happens a lot. A lot of people, myself included, fall for something called the hits and misses fallacy. In
Mm,
this certain case, yes, you had a group of people that prayed for the baby to regain its sight or possibly gain some sort of sight, which is great. I think that's a meaningful prayer to want to have that happen for the child, obviously. And there may have been some sort of neurological happening within the few days that actually triggered sight to begin. Because sometimes, things happen when you're born and weird things can happen. And they just put the two together because the prayer, and then a few days later, the baby could see, or they diagnosed that the baby could see. Oh, there's a hit right there. So prayer is
mhm.
real,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of the hits and misses fallacy thing that I'm talking about.
hmm
Clearly, that definitely does sound like it's a miracle for sure when you describe it. But knowing what we know about neuroscience now and biology now, the chances are there is possibly another reason for why the baby didn't have sight and then suddenly did. It could just be a late response neurologically. It could be a number of other things too. I'm no doctor, like I said, but
Yeah.
this would be a best guess scenario, and that's all I can give you. Other than I think your intentions were fantastic for your prayer to
Mhm.
help the baby out for sure. But it might just be a hits and misses fallacy, and it was a complete coincidence, or things just happened in a certain order, and it seems like it was a miracle.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, like I said, we're not doctors, but I wonder like if you talk to an eye doctor or someone who is
That's a good idea.
yeah, and they could explain, hey, this is the kind of thing like, I know someone in the chat said that babies can sometimes, they can heal certain things a lot quicker. A lot of
Yes,
times babies are born with certain things that they're told you're going to have this for life. And it's, that ends up
it's
not
not
being the case.
right.
So
Yeah.
we don't know the medical history of that child. Um, so it's really hard to know for certain, like the ins and outs of it. It's just, I think in those situations, like we were saying earlier about like religious experiences, and you get a lot of people together, everyone just gets so caught up. And I've been in church services where they've had praise reports, and it just sounds like the doctors had no idea why this even happened. They can't explain it. It can only be God. But that's coming from the mouth of a pastor. If the doctors were there, they could be like, well, like this is, we have this idea as to why this happened. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know, but we don't.
I think
And
it's great that the baby got its
oh,
sight back.
absolutely. Oh,
That's what
not
I'm taking from
discounting
this.
that
That's
at
awesome.
all. Not discounting that at all, but, I don't think like, I can't chalk that up to a supernatural thing, um, but I am very happy that if that baby does have their sight, now that they're an adult, I hope that they do not have any vision problems today, so, yeah.
There
I
was
would. Oh,
another one that, like, in that on that same missions trip, as we were approaching our auditorium that we did our pre-services in,
Mhm.
there was what my pastor at the time dubbed the witch. She was sitting outside. She had a little pentagram
Which,
painted on the
oh,
ground,
jeez.
candles, and she was literally floating off the ground by like 3 feet
Like
in
that
the
one?
middle of the forest or something like that. So, like,
you
and a
saw
lot of
them
people would just say,
floating?
oh, just, an illusion, or whatever. She's just doing some sort of like I don't know, some magic trick, you know what I mean? So like
Yes, I know
that
the trick you're talking about,
always come to
and I
mind.
know how it's done.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen those on lots of
I
illusion.
figured mirrors or something like that, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, usually, and they have a lot of times they're wearing fairly baggy clothing or robes even, and they're able to hide the construct that's keeping them in the air. Right? They'll be holding a staff or something, and that's all part of it. And it's a thing goes through their arm, and it wraps around them. There's all kinds of different ways to do that trick. Penn and Teller exposed that one some time back, so they showed how that was done. I think I can't remember if it was David Blaine that did it too, but he's kind of explained how he could levitate as well, but then he showed everyone the trick of doing it. So that was more than likely something for show, and maybe this witch lady was just trying to spook the hell out of you guys or something.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. So like when I deconstructed, I tried to like, you know, come up with reasons as to why these things are just bogus, you know, because I don't believe that it was the baby was healed by God, you know what I mean? But because for reasons that you guys have stated, but like I don't know if you've heard of like Sun City's ministry. There's huge ministries out there that make fat money on this stuff. So I came to the conclusion
of
that
course.
possibly it was all just like a setup, you know, to like they pay people to do things so that they can bring in more believers and, you know, continue the grift or whatever. So that's what I chalked it up to as I went along with my deconstruction, because, you know, money is a huge motivator for these religions, you know.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yeah. I was
Well,
thinking.
the thing that I think that bothers me the most about that is they usually pick on people that can't afford to give you the money too.
Mhm.
In a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at the time I think we were given 30% of our income to our church.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what they required to be a member.
Well, I'm glad you broke free, Eddie.
Me too.
That 30% could do a lot more for you
But,
and your family than it does them.
I guess I can rest easy now that that miracle is debunked, I guess.
Well, you could, you know, something like that is a rarity. And if you want to designate it as sort of like a natural miracle, feel free to do so, because things like that don't happen every day. And it seems miraculous. And in the medical world, it might be a small little medical miracle. But you don't have to take my definition of what a miracle is to heart, right? I just looked up, what do they call a miracle? Well, something impossible that happens. Well, obviously this wasn't impossible because it happened, so it doesn't technically fall under the guise or under the descriptor of miracle, but it can very well seem miraculous. And I'm sure a lot of people think that way about what happened to that little guy. So it's okay. We weren't trying to debunk anything. I think it's what happened originally was with well intention, and it turned out positive, and I think that we could just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But under your definition of a miracle, miracles will never happen, correct?
A true miracle is something impossible that happens. So if something impossible happens,
so
we could call
happens, it's now possible.
So it's no longer a miracle.
Right.
Now we have some form of a natural explanation for it. There's lots of stuff we don't know. Let's face it. We know minute, maybe 0.001% of everything that's out there. Let's be honest. But there's lots of stuff out there that we just don't know. And there's lots of things that we don't know, if that makes sense. So many things could come down the pike at some point, and we'll be like, holy crap, that looks like a miracle. But actually now we have some sort of an explanation for it, right? So, and things like that do happen. We do end up with explanations. You got to remember, at one time, people thought lightning was a miracle, like it was being shot at us by gods in the sky, until we figured out what it actually was, and we had an explanation for it.
Is there anything else?
Eddie? I appreciate you guys for taking my call.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Eddie.
Aw, thanks for calling.
Thanks, Eddie.
Have a good night. Bye. All
Greg
right.
kind of has an interesting point in the chat there. I'd wonder who and how the baby was diagnosed as blind in the first place.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. We don't know what the medical history was at all.
Right.
Prior to that, it could have been a misdiagnosis.
Could be
just
something that runs in the family. Late eyesight.
yeah, there you go. Who knows? But I could see how something like that could really kind of weigh or just kind of be in the back of your mind, like, okay, what was that? What did happen? Because like I said earlier with my whole, I was little and saw an angel. I'm like, I don't really know what that was, but also I was little and who knows, could be imagining things differently and I was a kid.
Sure.
So yeah.
I used to talk to my toys. I used to think my toys came alive at night, long before Toy Story.
I was going to say, oh, so you're like Andy. Except his toys did come alive.
Many times I'd stayed up later and just to see if they would come out, and all my little Lego minifigures would come out of the cupboards, and none of them ever did, obviously. But but I was heartbroken.
I know. That would have been super fun.
I want my dinosaurs to be real.
Yeah. Me too. Oh yeah, I would have loved if my Barbies came to life. That would have been fun. Yeah, we got some good calls tonight. Yeah. Oh, yay. Thank you, Dan. Oops, hold on.
It's working again. It's a miracle.
Yay.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you for the
awesome.
$20
Thanks,
super chat. That's so great. Gracious of you. And I was going to say, let me just do this. I was going to say that Skeptic Haven is always looking for volunteers to help behind the scenes. So if you'd like to be a part of our team, you can send us an email at info@skeptichaven.com. So that would just be like for call screening or just helping with stuff that Wes needs help with. I don't know, but you could find out, and we would love to have you be a part of the team. So, and if you'd also like to help our channel, please consider becoming a Patreon by going to patreon.com/skeptichaven. So, yay. I had
John
a fruit
says,
fly.
Neil wants Lego to come to life. It's Lego, John. Lego is plural. That'd be cool if it did come to life, because then I'd have a little Galileo coming to life right now.
There you go. Yeah, you and your Lego. You always love showing it off.
I do.
So fun.
I'd show the UCS Millennium Falcon, but it's really heavy and it's in my closet, buried. So
buried?
Yeah.
Why don't you have it on display?
Because I haven't even built it yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't have the room to put all this stuff on display. So we've been chatting lately. My roommate and I have been chatting about finding a bigger place so that I can have somewhere rather than just sitting on my bed, and actually have like a studio, and I can display lots of Lego stuff behind me, which I will eventually do.
Right. Oh, just wanted thank you for $5 from Alex. Just wanted to say, Neil say
Blue Jackets beat the Canucks at a 4-3 in a shootout in January 15th. Hey, even the Blue Jackets are going to get lucky once in a while, Alex. It's okay.
Does Alex, is he from Toronto or something? Or no?
No.
I don't know. Oh, okay.
Blue Jackets.
Or Blue Jackets. Oh, okay. See how much I know? I'm like, wait, that's the Maple Leafs.
We lost to Winnipeg last night, too.
Oh.
The bastards ended up getting 2 power play goals on us.
Okay. I'm a really bad Canadian when it comes to hockey. I just got the team wrong.
I've been tempted, since the Canucks are like top of the league right now, they're first overall. I've been tempted to wear my Canucks jersey on one of these things.
I have a Canucks jersey.
There you go.
Yeah. I got it when Luongo was our goalie. Do you remember how long ago that was?
Yep.
Yeah. It was like a long time ago. More than that. It's like 15.
Was it? No, because he was around for the last Stanley Cup run in 2011.
That was, yeah, okay. But still, that was a long time ago. It's 2024 now.
I just loved how the riots were planned on Facebook for that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the riot.
And I was around for the other one when the first riots happened. We were actually downtown when that happened. And all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, let's go. And we just left and everyone
my
started
God.
throwing shit through windows. I'm like, oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
so bad.
Versus the Rangers.
Okay.
Coast, man.
Yeah.
I think this year they have a legitimate chance of actually getting it. I believe so.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah. Last week during the Super Bowl, I was like, I was working, and at one point I said, I'm like, what's happening
Oh, yeah.
right
That was
now?
last week, right?
Yeah.
I didn't watch. I don't care.
Yeah. And one of the customers turned around. I'm like, I know we're watching the Super Bowl. I just don't know what the heck is going on right now. Because I don't watch sports.
I have a friend, or had a friend. He passed away from ALS some years back.
Oh.
And he was a big Joe Montana fan who happened to be a quarterback for both San Francisco and for Kansas City in his later years. So he liked both teams. He would have been pulling his hair out at this Super Bowl because it was the two of them
my
against
gosh,
each
yeah.
other, right? So,
oh, that would have been crazy. Yeah.
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 Do we have any more callers?
No, we don't. So if we don't have any more callers, then
Come on, you bums, get over and get on the phone there. You bums, he says.
Yeah. But if we don't have any more, then we will probably say thank you to everyone for tuning in, and thank you to the calls that we did have. They were great, and for the super chats. So, yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had some great conversations too.
Yeah, me too.
And I kind of felt bad for Eddie, thinking that we were just going to hand wave him.
Oh no.
I don't think that's what we were doing. I don't think discussing possibilities of what a miracle could be is hand waving myself. But
yeah, and if that's happened in the past, then that's too bad, because you're just looking for some kind of explanation, and to just be like, it's nothing. Then you don't like. No one likes being dismissed.
Ollie, that's because you're on Newfie time, buddy. Even though he's in Prince Edward Island, he's still in Newfie time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Ollie. That's all right. We'll be back soon, Ollie, so you'll be able to jump in with us anytime. Yeah. And also, if you guys do want to share your deconversion stories, you can hit me at 604atheist@gmail.com.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right.
So don't forget.
Using your platform to spam my show.
It's all good. It's all good.
If you like Stacey and I doing these shows together, then type in the number 1, and that'll convince Wes that we should be doing this every other week.
It's a lot of fun, I have to say. Yeah. And also I have my own channel too. So if anyone wants to subscribe, Neil's been on our show and it was a lot of fun. You can find me at the Stacey's Mom podcast on YouTube. We have lots of fun over there too. So, all right. Well, we don't have any more calls. So just wanted to thank everyone.
We scared them away, Stacey.
The nice Canadians that are just so polite. Like,
John's hit the one like 15 times.
Oh my gosh. Too funny. But I think we'll just thank our patrons for being patrons. And I can't find the banner for that. Usually, here we go. So thanks so much to Eric Ozols, Rion, D. Murphy, Dan D, Michael Wiseman, Cindy Plaza, Sunny Shell, Aaron Coalson, Phil Calderone, Amanda McLeod, and Logan Fisher. Thank you so much for being patrons. That is so appreciative. And thank you, Carrie Ann, for sharing my channel too.
There you go.
All right. Well, this was great, and I hope
Always
everyone,
fun.
Hope everyone has a great week. And
we're gonna do dinner again when I'm up there.
Okay? Yes, we are. Oh my gosh, I am not gonna fucking swear at you, tons of mice. There we go. I did it.
Well, you did pay $5. So.
I did it. I did it very I just.
And in Canadian money, that might as well be $100.
Yeah. But thank you for that super chat. That was wonderful. So
That's great, Tons.
all right. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you on the next show. And then just this show will be back next week. So don't forget to like and subscribe. And goodbye.
And like Steve Smith
Oh.
used to say, if they don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
There you go.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.